Well, it's been a few
So
years, right? When we
Yeah, it's been
last
a
did
while.
this
it's been a
during the
while. Like we,
pandemic, right? Like mid-COVID. So it's been a
yeah,
while.
definitely
Um,
been a while. I'd say like a year and a half.
at least, if not, it's got to be more because I was before I even moved to Twin Falls. So it was at
Yeah, I
least
say 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And what was the last one we did? Who was the
I
last person we
think
talked to?
was
It
it
was
in
you two.
Beto?
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't there for that one.
We
Which one
did
was it?
it was Beto. He's the one that did
Oh
the
yeah.
told us to not get in this industry unless we absolutely loved it and our heart was solely into it.
All right. So 2 years later, that's kind of a nice laugh leaving point. So 2 years later, did we make the right decision?
You know, the funny thing is I constantly think about him telling us that, especially on the days where I'm like, why am I in this? Why do I want to do this? Like, here I am working 80 plus hour work weeks, not taking my lunch breaks, filling in overtime shifts, mentally exhausted. Like, why am I doing this? And then I just think of him saying, if your heart isn't really in it, don't get in this industry.
I had a great conversation the other day with a couple of the coaches for we have a junior college in town,
Hmm.
College of Southern Idaho. So I hang out with some of the assistant coaches for the basketball team, and they're kind of in the same boat as us, where they get paid nothing, they work insane hours, the demand is 24/7, and the thing that like was left with me, Ryan Lundgren, one of the coaches, he said that a coach that he used to when he first took his first college job as an assistant in Boise State. The coach basically said, if you stick around, you will find success because the people that don't find success are the ones that give up. They quit, they leave, they get frustrated with the money, they get frustrated with the work. And it's basically like the only strong survive sort of ideal. And there's no right or wrong, right? Like leave this industry and go find one that actually pays real money. Good for you. Or stick it out and you'll find that because they got to have somebody do the job. And so if everyone else leaves, then you're left.
That's true. Yeah.
That is.
I would. Let's just start with uh, Zach. Let's start with you, then go Brianna, then me. I guess. Going what you've been up to, so we can see if we are if we have made it.
Wait,
Well,
wait, wait.
made it is
Let's start off with from graduation, where did we expect to be now? And what are we
Okay.
actually doing now? Just to
man.
see that transition or that change in
I
what
don't know that I had a big
expectation.
outlook like right after graduation, but I certainly didn't understand the workload I was about to be taking on. Like I
Yeah.
remember doing like packages in class or something like that in digital. What was Song Park's class? And he was pretty,
Digital media production.
yeah. So in that class, I'm
Yeah.
doing those projects and I'm like, gosh, this is so much work. It takes so long. It's and then you get to your first job and they're like, all right, I need you to do, I don't know what your guys' load is, but it's like, I want a package and a VOSOT from you every day and two VOSOTs because one's a VOSOT about the package, right? And it's like every day you turn that every single day. When you first get to the market, you don't know anybody, you don't know anything, you don't know what to talk about, who to talk to. It's the worst. But you get pretty settled into it, right? You get to a point where you're able to turn those things. But leaving school, I had no idea what I was about to get myself into. But I went to Twin Falls, Idaho. Obviously, I'm here at KMVT. We're the only station, so we don't really have much for competition. It's kind of isolated. But I've worked mostly as a news reporter. I wanted to be in sports. I am now doing weekend sports, but still, it's five. Well, let's see, six. It's like 8 news stories a week, regardless, because I do 3 days of 2 stories of news, and then on the weekends I have to fill in a VOSOT because we're so short staffed all the time that we need content, and so I have to do a little something each week or each day. Um, it's been a lot of how do I put it? It's been a very hard transition to be out here in this place and like in this farm town and learning about this kind of stuff that I had never known anything about. But it can be pretty rewarding when you realize how much you've learned about these things that you never would have talked about. Like I can give you fun facts about potatoes for days because I've been in Idaho covering farmer stories for so long. Like it's, but here we are. I'm coming up on the end of my contract, and I'm already still considering more MMJ jobs instead of sports jobs because the money's better and the opportunities are more. The sports market is so small. I think I have a TV jobs account, and it's like I think there are 20 jobs right now, most of which are in markets like 150 to 200, and I have no reason to go to a market that low at this point. It's just so
Yeah.
who knows?
I
You
feel
know
that.
what's next. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
tough. Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
you just extended, right? In St. George is where you are?
St. Joseph. Yeah.
St. Joseph.
So I'll just do mine real quick and then we'll go to
Go
Bree.
for
But
it.
so I had the same thing as you. I right as I got to my first market, which is St. Joseph, Missouri, 45 minutes north of Kansas City. I started in news for first 8, 7 months or so. Workload insane. Because we did sports in college and we did a package a week. I knew it was going to be heavy, but a package a day, VOSOT a day, you got to be. And my struggle with news was you had to be passionate about. You have to try at least to be passionate about each story every day, and I just wasn't. I kind of lucked out compared to a lot of I guess compared to most of our colleagues, I was able to move fully into sports in my first year. So after I was doing news and sports dual time, like what you're doing, Zach, I was doing for the first entire football season I was here, which was terrible. It was brutal. And then I finally just moved completely over to sports. It was like I want to say I lucked out. I'm in a low market. I get bottom bottom market.
Talk about your
But
access though. What do you get to do
oh
though?
my gosh, yes, I lucked
The
out. I'm
access
I'm
is,
in
yeah, you're bottom market, but your access is
But you
yeah.
kind
in
of you play
market.
like a top market. You
Yeah.
got a
I
little luck.
know that it's a little luck. Like market 201 maybe, and there's 210 markets, so not great. But 45 minutes from Kansas City, I cover the Chiefs. I'm going to the AFC division round this weekend to cover Chiefs Jacksonville. I have covered Sporting KC. I mean, the Chiefs training camps in my town. So I've covered pros. I've covered top D2 that are 3-time national champions back to back to back. Um, Even covered the U.S. women's national team in Kansas City. So I'm like, it's kind of crazy how much I'd say I lucked out because I kind of got lower market than everybody, but the coverage that I do is insane. So I know what you're going through with news and sports, Zach, but what if you do transition to fully sports, it's so worth it. I enjoy work once I switched over.
And you're sticking around one more year, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll see how long I make it through the year, but yeah,
He said maybe for the year.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Bree,
Well,
where are you?
I am all over the place. I actually am now in Tri-Cities, Washington, so it's about 45 an hour, no, more like an hour and a half from Yakima, or like 2.5 hours more into central Washington from
Yeah,
Spokane.
how what are you Central Washington, Western
Central,
Washington, Eastern Central? You're
Central Eastern Washington, but
okay.
we're like 45 minutes from Pendleton, Oregon.
Oh,
Oh wow.
why
Yeah,
did I not? I pictured you much further north than that. So if
no,
you're from
Yeah,
to
same.
Pendleton, is there a Columbia River crossing somewhere
yeah,
along that area
right here, Columbia River. That's why
that you
it's
can get?
Tri-Cities,
No
because we
kidding.
have the Columbia River and then we have the Yakima River that interact. So
Hmm.
it's the three cities.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
I had no idea. Anyway,
yeah,
carry on.
fun fact. Speaking of getting into where you're from and really learning about being where you are. Um, yeah, so I moved up here. I got a Monday through Friday reporter position in news. And just a lot of stuff, I think, right off the bat hit the fan when I started. And it was very much of that reality check, turning a package and a VOSAT a day. And then with us, we actually, if there's breaking news, we have to do Facebook Lives. Then we have a online streaming channel, so we have to do essentially like a live hit for that. And then if it's massive breaking news, we cut into the show. So it's just a lot more tedious stuff than I think I expected. And then January came and we had a massive snowstorm. So it was really learning to drive in the snow. My California car was not prepared for that. But then, yeah, there was a lot happening. We got a new news director, and then I got switched to cover weekends because of the pandemic. They stopped having weekend shows here. So they moved
Really?
me, yeah, we would do regional weekend shows. So our station is, um, our sister station is in Spokane. So on weekends, they would do our shows for us,
Wow.
but they would have a reporter working here to send up local Tri Cities news. Um, so they had me become that weekend reporter, and it was nice. It was fun. It was a little hard. I mean, news is very go, go, go. And when you're working weekends, city offices are closed, so it got harder. And then eventually they trained me to do weather. So now I'm doing weather as well. And I mean, it's fun. I never thought in my entire college career thinking I want to be a sports broadcaster that I would actually be in love with doing weather forecasts for
You're
shows.
not the only person that's had that happen to too. Is like Daisy's doing that, isn't she? And like why do so many people end up with weather? Is it just because you're short staffed?
Well, with us specifically, I think because we're in starter markets and there's so many people constantly circling through, obviously they don't expect people to stay here until you're,
Yeah.
in your last contract and you're like, all right, I want to retire after this. Um, so I think it's just making sure that we have people to fill in those gaps. Because I mean, now we officially have our weekend shows back, so we have a full staff on weekends. But then our morning show, which I haven't really said anywhere or told anyone, but our morning show weather meteorologist is leaving. Her husband works for National Weather Service. So they're leaving, and I actually just got offered the job for weekend morning weather.
We need like a
So,
breaking news sound. Brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr.
Breaking news.
Oh,
yeah,
Wow.
so
congratulations.
yeah.
What's that schedule like? What's that morning schedule?
Um, 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. Our
Oh, so
Saturday
five
morning
isn't too
shows.
bad.
Yeah, our Saturday
Yeah.
morning shows don't go on until 7 a.m. I
Okay.
mean, it's
Oh,
weekends. People
that's
wake
not
up a
bad.
little later. It's not
Yeah,
that
because I was
bad, but
discussing a morning anchor position in Eugene, and they're like, the schedule is 3 to noon, and I'm like, like I
Was it
started to do the
K-Val?
math. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And then they're
honestly,
like
though, let me tell
three to
you.
noon. I don't want to go bed at 7 p.m.
Okay, but
Come
let
Yeah.
me
on,
tell
that's
you.
the
No,
hard
no, no,
part.
no. I've actually filled in for morning show on weather, and it is fun. It is one of the most fun schedules. It is brutal the first like two, three times you do it, but it is one of the most fun schedules ever because you get done with your day early. If you have errands to go run, you're not like, oh my God, everything's about to close. What if I just go do it on my day off?
Yeah, yeah,
And then you get home and it's still daylight. Obviously, you just need some really good blackout curtains, but
yeah.
Yeah.
My concern is like I just like things that happen at night, like sports. Like if I want to watch
Exactly.
like a Heat game's on, I'm like I got to cut out at halftime because I got to go to bed or stay up
naps,
late till nine
naps.
o'clock. You know?
I've done that
You might
before.
be
I got home from work at like noon. I fell asleep, took a really long nap, woke up around 3 o'clock. No, woke up actually like 4 or 5 o'clock and then stayed up and then took another power nap at like midnight.
I have a friend who
jeez.
just went to mornings, and the other day we like went out to the bar after work, and he comes and woke up and had a breakfast whiskey. Like he had like just gotten out of bed and he's having a drink. I'm like, I don't know about that, man. That's just different. That's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm only
Yeah.
probing because I was considering doing the same thing, and I'm still the offers either that or an MMJ, and I just don't know which way to go because the money's better for the anchor position, obviously. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Yeah.
you know what? I think the way I kind of look at it and like my roommates, one of my roommates is weekend morning show anchor and he does the weekday PM anchoring. So he anchors all the late shows. So what is our here regionally, we also do a Fox show based out of our station.
Hmm.
So he anchors the Fox and our 11 p.m. broadcast. And his contract is more reporter, weekday reporter, weekend anchor, but because we don't have an anchor for PM shows, he's the one kind of switching off with our other anchor. And he's like, I love it. Anchoring is fun. Like, sure, reporting
Yeah.
is, you get to do the nitty gritty, but Anchoring is fun. You get to be more of yourself with anchoring. And I feel the exact same way doing weather. It's just I get to show more of my personality rather than having to be serious because of some crime scene I'm at.
Or the the fact driven package where you're like just reading numbers and like explaining stuff. It's not as exciting.
Yeah.
I do like being at the
Yeah.
desk a lot better because I'm a goofball and I can be a goofball, especially when I'm doing sports anchoring. Like I can just be my weird self, and and it's totally acceptable compared to doing like a news package, like you said, where you have to be this like straight edge
Yeah.
reporter, and I'm
Put the
not
game
that
face
person.
on.
Yeah.
Especially
So
with hard news, you got to
yeah,
be
oh God.
like you can't. I've anchored quite a few newscasts. I'm actually about to start doing it again because my news director wants me to. But it's like the news side of things. You have to know when you can smile, when you can't. Sports, you're pretty much free to be yourself, which is very nice. The only issue
Hmm.
I have with sports is you work 10 hours, whatever it is, for 3 minutes on air,
Yeah.
which is frustrating. But I mean, nonetheless, being able to go to all the sports games, you meet those people, it's great. You anchor it, you can laugh, you can make jokes.
Mm.
News side, you kind of have to know what you're talking about beforehand, so you can not make those
Yeah.
jokes
Pay
when you're
attention to
not.
that rundown because you don't want to be big
Yes,
smiles and then you're like four dead in a plane. Oh, like it's
yeah,
just
and
you got to watch it.
that that's one thing too. I've seen a lot of anchors in my market that um, are still trying. I mean, obviously, learning. When I anchor, I read through the entire script so I know what's up next. A lot of them don't, and you can tell it because they'll go from the weather toss, laughing, still laughing, reading the first line, and then they realize, oh wait, this is about
This is
a
serious
death.
or
Yeah,
something. Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
so
produce
that's the biggest thing I
when I
have.
fill anchor, I produce my own show, so I kind of have your own. You have like
Oh,
your
nice.
you know what's coming because you stacked it
Hmm.
yourself, and that makes
Yeah,
things a little bit easier. But yeah, like my anchor, my news director is our evening anchor for the 5 and 6 o'clock shows, and he could just come in, sit down, and do the news and go home. Basically, he does not need that like buffer read, which I desperately need because I stumble, and once I start stumbling, it snowballs out of control, and yeah.
yeah. Big
Yeah.
words, big scientific words. I can't do.
He'll just skip them. Joe's hilarious, dude. If you put
Oh,
like,
nice.
I'll purposefully put like hard words or difficult names in his script, and he just blows right past them. Like you sucker, dude.
And
Like he'll just
it's I
and
think
she
it's
said,
I think it's part of like the years of experience because our
yeah,
main anchor is like that too. I mean, Tracy, we love her. She is, everyone looks at her like our older sister almost. And she will be looking through like scripts and stuff and just be like, no, nope. Mm-mm.
no
When
chance.
she goes through
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
scripts for packages and stuff. But yeah.
Have you guys had what's your like newsroom environment like? Because here in Twin Falls, we went through a news director already. He was interesting, we'll say. Um, and he's gone, but we don't have any competition in the area, so it kind of leads to a little bit of complacency. We don't need to be better than anybody else because we are the news option, and it kind of like I have not had many opportunities, even when I go for criticism or critique, it's like, oh, you're doing fine, you're doing great. But I'm like, I want you to pick my stuff apart so I can grow, be better. I'm in market 189, not because I'm the best reporter of all time. I'm gonna make mistakes. I need feedback. Did you guys have much of that in your newsroom, or is it kind of figure it out and find out?
I mean I have that. We also are on our second news director since I started. The first one was kind of on his way out when I came in, working remote, lived in Omaha, which is 2 hours away, would commute once a week. Great guy.
Your news
But
director, not the
yeah, because
GM. That's wild.
no, the news director. Yeah. So
Oh,
um, that that all happened. Then we went 6 7 months with basically out a news director because the one in Omaha technically left, but he was the interim until they found someone else, but they just never did. So that he already had a different job. So that whole thing. But once we got this new news director, he's been in market. I think his highest one was 8 in Atlanta. Um, yeah,
What is
he's
he doing in St. Joe?
yeah.
that's been a question. No,
That's the real question.
he wants to help the next generation type. He worked in Kansas City before, so
Okay.
he knows the area a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and he having him now since it was in Market 8, it's like, holy
That's pretty
crap.
cool.
Yeah, I ask him any chance I get to what I can do. That's why I'm gonna start anchoring because he wants me to, get that
Yeah,
repetition to
yeah.
anchor and that fluency. But no, he like even before he got here, we have the senior reporters or sports director, and they would kind of nitpick if you asked. So I get a lot of feedback, which I enjoy because, like you said, I'm obviously not the best. I'm in
Yeah,
market
yeah.
201. I'm trying to make a big jump, but I need that feedback. I know it's not perfect, so don't tell me, oh, this is fine. You got to critique it hard.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
that's one thing I'm looking for in my next market. Sorry, Bree, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think we're kind of all on the same page where we started off with one news director and now we're a news director later. I started off with, her name was Jana. She was instantly like motherly figure to everyone that you could just go to her and talk to her about anything like, hey, this is going on. And she would just talk to you. But when it came to there, okay,
There we go. We are back.
we are back. Temporary break. Um, no, what was I even saying?
That's a great question. I have no clue.
I
Oh,
can't.
I was
I
I was
banking
can't.
just
on you
saying
just
that the news director, that when it came
Oh
to
yeah.
news,
yes.
she knew every single, like, she was the perfect person to pick her brain. She just knew everything. And our new news director, um,
Don't say
it's
anything
just
that'll
you,
get you in trouble.
yeah. Let's just say it's different. I mean, she came from Fayetteville. She was an assistant news director. Um, so it's just different, and it's a new atmosphere around. Everyone who was here when I started has moved on to their next markets. I mean, one
Mm,
of our reporters is now a part-time reporter in Miami, and then
wow.
another one, she's a traffic anchor in Sacramento. It doesn't get better than that.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's just different. Like
It's a
the
good
newsroom
jumps.
environment is completely different. Most of our new um, reporters are new grads, whereas I'm already a year in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different. Luckily, though, what I have noticed is I don't want to say respect, but the show of, hey, you've been here for a year. Let me pick your brain.
That must be
So
nice.
now, yeah, it's kind of,
Yeah.
it feels a little weird,
Are
but
you
it's also,
senior reporter Bree? Is that what's going on here?
well, to be honest, I am not an on-air reporter anymore.
Yeah.
During the week, just because we're moving very much into this digital era where everyone gets their news on their phone.
Yeah.
So we went through this whole rebrand. We were NBC right now. Now we're called Nonstop Local because they want to divert from the association with an NBC affiliate. They want to not be associated, better said, with NBC. And aside from that, our company, we're a small family owned company. So we're not owned by like Tegna or Sinclair.
Oh.
And they own several small markets. So we have a market in Montana, we have a market in Spokane, we have the Tri Cities, we have a Yakima station. We have about 6 stations. We also have Idaho. And
Are you is that in Coeur d'Alene?
yeah, so the Spokane Coeur d'Alene one connect, but we have Great Falls. And then there's Bozeman, St. Helens, Spokane. Tri Cities and Yakima are kind of together. Um, and then I forget what other one we have. But the reason for the rebrand is for us to share everything. And so I think being part of that change has really stumped all of us who have been here from before the rebrand. And our new news director kind of got here at the beginning of the rebrand. So she's been very helpful.
It sounds like you guys are kind of going away from just a basic cable news network and turning into like a digital online streaming platform more
Yeah.
than anything else, which is smart, honestly. I talk to people all the time, and when I go do stories and they're like, "When will it air?" I'm like, "Well, it'll be on at 5 and 6," but I know you don't. They're like, "Well, we don't have cable, or we don't watch the news, or this that." I'm like, "Well, it'll be online," and that's where they find it. They find the package that I put to the web story. They don't watch the broadcast. Nobody really
Yeah.
does. The numbers are still good enough for us to get marketing money or advertising money because we're the only station. But if there were any form of competition, that would split it right in half, and it would be much harder for us to survive. So
Yeah, no,
it
we
sounds like you're doing something
definitely.
right.
Oh yeah, they put a big emphasis on it, and at first it was really hard for us. I mean, we come into this market thinking old school journalism, I mean, be broadcast ready, and then they switch it up on us and it's nothing like that. And then we're like, whoa, you're adding 10 more things for us to do in a workday. So not only do we have to do a package and a VOSOT, we have to do a completely separate VOSOT for that online streaming that we do because it's teasing to our show. And then we also have to worry about our social media pushes to get people to watch the show. So it's moving in the right direction, but the workload is like 10 times more.
Sure. Yeah. Have they have so you're about 8 months out from your contract. Are you discussing an extension there? Are you interested in staying in that type of market or that type of situation, or you rather move on to somewhere else that's a little more old school?
I think I'd want to move on because I've learned very much in this industry that you like real quickly that if you don't move up, you're not really going to do anything.
Yeah, I'm nervous about like I'm at the end of my contract here in March, and like I said earlier, where they offered me an extension, the money's better to stay than it is to leave. But leaving, who knows what you get when you get to the next place? You know, you stay for a couple of years, you're going to earn more money wherever you go, right? Like,
Hmm.
and maybe more connections. One thing that I worry about here is it's so isolated. It's rare that I see other reporters from other stations or meet other news directors or meet if I want to go to a place where I can run into people like that, bump shoulders with someone. Like I have a discussion with that station in Eugene. It's like, well, then I could go to Portland to cover stories and meet the people from Portland when there's a big thing going on, or like maybe they'll come down to Salem for something, and I will also, and we'll meet and talk and maybe make a relationship that can bring me to a bigger market in time, or at least be in a place that has just on the personal side more to do because there is not a lot to do in Twin Falls, Idaho, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think that's also the part of it. I mean, we do have our competitors um, out here, but I mean, when there's big things, I think the biggest thing we've had that has put us out, kind of, to speak, is you guys probably heard of that Fred Meyer shooting.
Hmm.
That,
Hmm.
yeah, that was here. I was that reporter on it back in February,
Wow.
coming up
Yeah.
on a year. And that day, let's just say, I never thought as a journalist I would have some sort of trauma or
I
anything
know it's out
until
there.
that day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my producer at the time was just like, "Hey, Brianna, like we're hearing on the scanner there's a shooting. Like we confirmed it. Can you head out there?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, we've done this before. How different could it be? And as I'm on my way, he calls me and goes, "Heads up, it's an active shooter."
Wow.
I get there and it's just me and one of the other reporters from the station and maybe two cop cars, and there's people running outside of the grocery store.
Wow.
And instantly I just like my brain just like went numb and I was like, okay, I need to film all of this. I need to do my Facebook Live. I need to send a picture back with information for to get on web, to send a note, like everything. My brain just kind of went reporter mode. And then eventually they just start moving all the reporters back. They start moving everyone because they didn't know if he was still in there or not. And then we that day was just like a giant blur. I left with no water. I left the station, no water bottle, no food, no snacks, nothing. And ever since that day, I don't go anywhere without my water bottle or at least some sort of snack in my purse, in my car, anything. And I think what made me really be like, whoa, is this really what I want to do for the rest
Mm.
of my life? And my mental health just like went down the drain. Like
Do they offer resources at your station? Do they help with
yes,
therapy, things like that? Or
yeah,
very
yeah,
good.
I reached out to like for resources at the station and it was just one of those things where I was like I never thought I would need it
Yeah.
because I always thought like mental health specifically was healthy enough. But then that whole day, and then I think what was the most like triggering almost was going back the next day and looking at all that B-roll to do like more coverage on the story. I mean, for crying out loud, there's this one video, and to this day, if I see it, it gives me chills of this like older woman in her 50s wrapped in a blanket near the fire trucks getting looked at. And then I just hear someone scream, Mom. And you see the girl running to her, that 50-year-old
Yeah.
woman, and just hugs her, and they're like sobbing together. And then when I first looked at it, I just could not keep my composure because it was, then I put myself in her shoes. That's like me running to my mom. If that was my mom, I would have lost it. So, yeah, I think that's like the number one misconception being a reporter is that we're all happy, hunky dandy. We deal with it.
Yeah.
You're not. It's hard.
Yeah. You're not like, you're not insulated from it. Like, just because you have a camera and a pen and a recorder and like, doesn't mean you're not impacted by the things that you're seeing and the things that you're doing. I haven't experienced anything like that, but one of my first stories was of an apartment fire, and it's like these people it was like Section 8 housing. So it's people who are already up against it, losing everything. And I have to show up and like stick a camera in their face. And it feels so insensitive. It feels so
It does.
intrusive. It feels just wrong, frankly, but it's part of the job, and I hate that side of it. Like, here's your worst moment of your life. You want to talk about it? How bad does this suck? Tell me, and let me tell everyone else. But sometimes I have a hard time justifying why I'm at those places. Like, why do I have this camera in the face of someone who's going through the worst day of their life? Is it necessary to tell that story? And I think that's kind of the question you have to ask. Obviously, for you, Brian, with an active shooter, there's no question. You have to be there. You have to put that on. You have to let
Yeah.
people know. Um, but like the apartment fire, I'm like, what benefit does it have to me for me to interview? Like, my news director is pushing me, go get someone impacted. Like, what benefit does it give the community for me to tell you how bad this person's day sucked? Like, what difference does that make? What does that add to the story that's benefiting the community that I'm in? It doesn't really.
It just
It
feels
could
like
be
you're
like,
knocking someone when they're already down.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, getting the information about the shooter, what happened, how did we get here? Why does this keep happening across our country? Those things are important stories. You should report on those, even if it's difficult. But sometimes you have to ask the question, like, why be there for these types of things? But
No, yeah,
it's a stressful
you're
job, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've luckily I'm in sports now, so I don't have to go do the breaking news. But I was um when I was in news, and I'll help out like the news reporters because I'm pretty besides a sports director, I'm the longest tenured reporter, which is crazy. And so I'll help them go film a stand up live shot or anything. And there's been a couple things, like a couple murders or homicides, stuff like that, that house fires happen here. And it's a tough thing to do because you'll go to the site of either the school the kid went to, where outside the house, and you're like doing the story on the day of someone having the worst
Hmm.
moment of their life. And it's you see like a lot of people look around, like the people, just the general public, that look around and you're like, I feel so bad for doing this, but
Hmm.
I have to tell the local news. And especially in our small markets, that is news. Especially for, I'd say, especially for Zach and I, for like the house fires or like the little things like that. Brianna, you're in a little bit bigger market, but like the active shooter thing, that's huge. Like that's something you have to do, but it sucks, especially after you get done and then you start thinking about what you just did.
Yeah.
Then it's like,
Take the
wow,
reporter eyes off and start decompressing a little bit, and
Yeah. I
that gets
think
overwhelming.
I think it's almost like this misconception that reporters are like dehumanized and we don't have any sort of emotion, and it really is just, wrong, wrong, and wrong.
yeah,
There's been just so many times. I mean, even when my roommate said that his first breaking news call was to um, a homicide, and when he got there and was asking officers, he's like, I looked over and the body was still there, it wasn't even covered.
Oh.
And he's like, to him, that was like, what the heck? And then, even after like a couple weeks after that happened, I was called to a house fire. It was in a trailer park and the trailer caught on fire. And 2 days before, this man was mowing his lawn and was stabbed. And so it's like you have to like, how do you go from someone getting stabbed to a house fire to, hey, there's donations happening for leukemia and lymphoma? Like,
Yeah.
it's just not easy. The drastic change. One day you're doing a very happy story, and the next day you're doing something that businesses can't even go back in their home in there because it there's a fire. So yeah,
The
rude awakening for us.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll add one more for my news side. Then have something fun we should do. But there's one of my first like stories. It was in the winter because I started in the winter. And Missouri winters are cold. It was -40, including the wind chill. It was
I
like
still remember
-40.
that first winter. You're like sending
Oh
us
my God.
pictures and Snapchats and all this about how
I don't
miserable you
know.
He-
were.
Yeah,
Hating his
I was
life.
like, I don't know what I just did. I don't know what I got myself
I
into.
was
It
a
was
little worried about Mitch at the beginning, man, when you were
I
still doing news and it's freezing and you're like, I'm alone in this building. What's going
I was outside. I would go outside for stories and I would have icicles on my eyebrows, like on my eyelashes after 5 minutes from how cold it was. I was like, this is crazy. I've never experienced a cold like this. But no, so the first story, it was this family, it was in the winter and this family's house caught on fire and burned down. And I actually interviewed them that next day. Like somehow they were okay doing an interview, which was crazy because they were all in tears. There's a very elderly couple that lived at the house basically their entire marriage, years,
on?
and they had to GoFundMe and everything, and it was very hard to do that story at the time because I was there. They were crying while I was interviewing them. Then I went to the house, and it was just completely gone. But then, so that night, I was like, wow, this is really tough. Like, that's kind of when I was like, I want to be full-time sports. Um, but like a couple days later, the next week, I got a message from the daughter, and she was like so thankful because that story reached so many people that people donated so much stuff to them to get them
That's the
back on their
best.
feet. Yeah, and I went back to their new place, and the elderly couple, they were so thankful. They were giving me hugs and stuff. So that part was nice just because it had
Email
a
your
good ending.
reporters, people. Those thank
Yes,
yous mean so much. Those
yeah.
They
things,
Oh my
do.
oh
gosh,
man, those things.
it
Like,
did.
just give me a quick note. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, not every story is going to have the impact you want it to, but if it does, let me know. Oh my God,
yeah.
that makes you
It
Because a
just
lot of
so
makes it
worth
yeah,
feel
it.
like the work we're doing is validated.
Yeah.
yeah. Because a
Yeah,
lot
because
of the time we get the
it's a
hate
thankless
comments.
job. Oh God, you get so much.
Oh,
I don't know, man. I'm here in small town, uber
Yeah,
conservative. They don't love the media out here, country, and
yeah,
it can be it
yep,
can be
brutal.
tough.
yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten
Oh,
some mean messages, man.
same.
Mean messages. And I don't know,
Yeah.
Bree, you could probably talk to this because the women get it worse, man. The women get it worse
Oh,
because not only do they get mean, they get like
prison
disgusting and
mail.
creepy.
I
What was
get
that?
prison mail, prison emails.
We've had
Um,
reporters like that before too. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, it is. I mean, our main weekday weather anchor, she has gotten, she got a letter from a guy in prison saying that like he knew her when she was a little girl and like the
Oh, that's
creepiest
so
thing ever. And
creepy.
she was like laughing about it. And then we looked him up. I mean, we're reporters, we can
Yeah, of
do some
course you did.
digging, and if you're in
Of
the
course you
system,
did.
it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
We did some digging. The man's in jail for child abuse and like child molestation. And yeah,
Oh,
just know
that's
if
the
you're going to be
worst.
emailing us something nasty or something dirty and we really
We're
want
gonna
to,
look
we
you
can
up. We're
dig.
gonna get your
We
dirty
can,
laundry. Yeah, we will
yeah.
find you. We may just
Speeding
air it out too.
tickets, arrested for a DUI, something, we'll find you.
Okay, quick question. What is one piece of work that you have done in the past 2 years or a year and a half or whatever your timeline is that you're proud of, that you are most proud of, or that you enjoyed the most? Just one thing that you're going to take from this, because a lot of the day turns are just day turns. You're like happy to have them done. It's like I filled content today. That's over. What's something that you're going to remember? from this market?
I have mine.
Go for it. You
So
start then, because I don't.
So it was right when I had started doing weekends. I had come across this GoFundMe for a skater in Pasco, one of the three cities. And I got curious. I looked up what the GoFundMe was for, all of that, and messaged some of the guys who were listed as the creators. Just curiosity, messaged them, trying to figure it out. Turned out this guy was a very well-known skater in the community. He was at a concert in Auburn, Washington, and on his way back from the concert, him and his buddy stopped at a gas station, and then they were walking from the gas station across the street to their hotel room, and a food delivery driver just ran him over.
Wow.
Yeah. And now the friends created that GoFundMe to raise money to help the city build a skate park in his honor.
Wow.
Because in Pasco, they don't have a skate park. There's only one in Richland and in Kennewick. So they would always have to ride the bus to one of the other cities. And Pasco is, I would say, one of the underserved communities. They have the fewer bus routes. Like their resources are, they don't have that many. So they would all like scrap for change to try to get a bus ticket so that they can go to one of the other cities just to get to the skate park. And so he was the kind of friend that when he learned how to drive, they would all pack up his car and he would drive them to a skate park. Or if he was out shopping, he would be like, "Hey man, what shoe size are you? I'm gonna get you this." And so in talking to all his friends were like, he wasn't a friend, he was like a brother.
Hmm.
He just cared about everyone like he was a brother. And then I spoke with his parents, and his parents were like, he had a brother by blood, but all of these guys here are more than just brothers to him. Like they are,
Do you remember the name of the skate park?
they haven't officially made the skate park,
Oh,
but the city has been planning for it.
it's
Like
like planned. It's
it's
in the
been,
works.
yeah, they saw the petition, and then with me like doing the digging, they were like, "Oh, this is a lot bigger than we think." And they're even planning to maybe put it where his parents live. Like around the block there's an empty lot. So all
Sounds
of
like a
his
follow-up
friends,
story once the thing is done too. Like
yeah,
once it's
and
opening and all
all of
that.
his friends, like I remember one of the things I asked them is like, what is I asked the parents, like, how much of an impact did Roger, the son, have that you didn't realize he had an impact? And his dad goes, the day of his services, it was shocking to me to see how many people showed up for him. And they showed me a picture. It was like 200 people.
Wow.
And
How
they
old
were
was he?
all, he was only 23 when he died. So now he
Oh,
would have, yeah, yeah, he was young.
yeah. That's so young.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the stories that I'm like, that's
That'll
my
last.
baby. I will cherish it with me anywhere I go. Because I even asked the guys, like, hey, like, I kept the fact I was talking to the city a secret
Hmm.
until I
Hmm.
went to do the interview with them. Because I'm like, that's a big thing. If the city is saying that they're actually going to follow through with making the skate park, I want to see their reactions. So when I told them, they were all like, you're joking.
That's
You're
cool.
joking.
That's
And then
cool.
I'm like, what would you guys think Roger would say if he found out Pasco is finally getting a skate park? And they're all like, he'd be like, "Oh, we're getting a skate park." So I like had a lot of really good like sounds from them, and I think it just
Yeah, I'm
made it
sure.
very telling.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple, but one that comes to mind, there's a local summer league baseball team. It's where all the college athletes from really across the world, like they play in this league. It's called the Mink League. This year they had a kid from Japan, kid from UW, Dubs down. But they were all playing.
Can't help
Most of the
yourself.
time, most of the time it's just guys in the Midwest, and they have this super fan. He's he works the gate, like super nice guy in a wheelchair, and he's been needing a new wheelchair for years. And the team, the owner, and the coach, manager, I guess in baseball, went to a place to get a new wheelchair, and they
Mitchell
told about
showing
the
his wealth
story.
of baseball knowledge.
Yeah.
They told him the story about it, and the place gave him the wheelchair for free, and
Wow.
Wow.
they surprised the guy with a new wheelchair in front of the stadium
Wow.
before a game, and he didn't know about it, that it was happening, and he was the tears. It was pretty like heartwarming story of that,
Yeah.
about what sports can do for somebody, and
Yeah.
that's probably one I'll take.
There's a little bit of twisted stuff in journalism where like tears are like gold, you know? If someone starts
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
crying, I'm like,
The
yes.
it's in.
emotion. If there's
Ugh, let's
emotion,
go.
make sure
Yeah.
you're zoomed in, you
Oh, get that tight
focus, you
shot. Yeah.
yes.
Like if I get a tear roll down your cheek, buddy, oh
Yeah,
man, I
Ugh.
pay you
exactly.
for that.
Doesn't matter as I mean, as like morbid almost as it is, like doesn't matter if it's a
Yeah.
horrible story or not. The tears are
The
gold.
tears are gold, man. Sorry. It's just the truth. Um,
Yeah.
Mine is probably there was this kid that went to O'Leary as a middle school here in town, and there was this like viral video goes out one night of him just getting like absolutely tormented by a bunch of his classmates, like pushed around. Someone punched him. They took his guitar. He's just like sitting under a tree playing guitar, and they just come and just like are on him, harassing the heck out of him. And like the one kid broke his guitar. All this like it was just a nasty video. So like a couple days later that weekend we discussed the thing on the news. Like we didn't play the video, but we discussed what's going on and then talked to the, like the school district about um, students' mental health and bullying and what can be done and what resources are available. Anyway, basically the video makes the rounds. And so a couple of days later, they like contact us um, to cover what was going on. The thing about this is like I had zero impact here. It like the reporting didn't change anything about what was happening, but it was just a really cool story. Like we get to that Saturday and like the community had rallied this like car group, like they cruise their cars around town, had rallied to come bring this kid to the park. Basically just show him massive amounts of support. Like they all made signs. Like I can't remember what his name was. It was a couple years ago, but they made signs telling like how much they care about him, they love him, all this. And like three, four different people all bought and donated guitars to the kid. And like one guy gave him a lesson, like a musician, local musician, like said, "Here, come with me," and like on the weekend, and then we'll do a guitar lesson and all this. And it was just such a touching story. This, for all the flaws that Twin Falls has, it's a great the support amongst this town, like amongst the community, the people in this town is unparalleled. It's unbelievable. How well they rally together when somebody needs something. It can be quite touching. So that's one that'll stick with me just because it was such a day full of emotion. I'm crying, he's crying, parents are crying, the whole mess. I have no problem proving that journalists have emotions. It's probably two or three different stories where I was like interviewing someone who starts crying and then I'm crying and I'm just still doing the interview. I probably not professional, but I don't care. I can't help it. So, but that story was pretty cool.
That's a good one.
That
Yeah.
is. There's
Um,
just so
go Bree.
much. No,
Mitchell,
I
did
was
you
just
just
gonna say
plug
there's
in
just
your
so much.
AirPods? Did you just
No. These
Why
are
why do your
normal.
AirPods have wires?
The
Yeah,
AirPods. No, the
my
AirPods died.
AirPods. Quick trip to like 2000 over here.
I
Yeah.
know.
Okay, I got like
No,
the
the
full
AirPods died.
overhead everything. So
Um.
Okay.
Okay, so let's. I want you guys to think of your three. Let's do a draft real quick. Draft for essentials and tips, like for
okay,
what you like for starting out, going to a story,
okay.
whatever you think is a need to know. Okay, we're
For
gonna
new
do
reporters, basically, like for
yeah, or
incoming
just
reporters,
yeah,
we're gonna
just what you
draft.
wanted to know. We're gonna
How
draft
long's the draft?
three,
Five,
three
three. Okay,
picks. So
who's
we're
going
gonna
first?
go one, two, three. Whoever's third gets a double pick.
Oh,
So we'll go
Serpentine.
serpentine, yes.
All
Um,
right.
so we can start with because my screen has Zach on the bottom. We'll start with Zach. So we'll go Zach, Bree. No, we'll go Zach, me, Bree. Bree, you can have the double pick.
You get the double.
Yeah, Bree gets
Wait,
the
That's
double
like
pick.
sorry.
almost like so you're
So
gonna draft third and fourth. Sorry, go ahead.
we're gonna okay.
So
Okay.
basically, a
Tips,
draft of tips,
tricks
tricks, what you think is something that will help.
Like a must know for like a
Yeah.
for new
crash
reporters.
course
Like,
must know for
yeah,
reporters.
Yeah, like
Got it.
inside tips that you do, like bringing snacks if it's still there, something like that. So yeah.
Mitchell going bringing snacks second, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna start with number one. Number one, cell phone numbers. Get everybody's cell phone numbers. Everyone you talk to. Be just no can't be bashful about it. Just be shameless in your pursuit of somebody's cell phone number. Don't take their office number. People are never in their office. Cell phone numbers. You can text, you can leave voicemails, you can get everyone's, and then make sure they get yours too, because they'll call you, give you story tips, all that, but
Yeah.
get everybody's cell phone number. Someone told me that when I first started, and it has been the most valuable thing for me.
That
I think
is a
I
very
think
good number one.
yeah. I was gonna say I think this kind of ties to Zach's, but also like hand your business cards out like they're candy.
Yes.
The
Yes.
same
Yeah,
You
thing.
have
make
to.
If
connections
you're giving
basically is
people
the
your
secret
phone
behind it.
number, hand out those business cards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So with Zach, that's a great number one. I like that. My number one, it should be, you should know it, but learning how to edit efficiently, because there's a lot of times new reporters, you gotta
don't get me
teach them
started. We
how
got a new
to
reporter right
edit.
now. She better not
Yeah.
see this, but my goodness fudge.
That's
Oh
you
man.
gotta learn how to edit and take the tough classes in college, like how you talked about digital media production. That
Oh
class
my
helped me
goodness.
so much.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So editing, you gotta on any
Shout out.
software. Like you
Shout out
shouldn't,
Sun Park.
yeah, you shouldn't just be able to do Premiere. You should be able to do Premiere, Edius, Vegas, whatever you have.
And Edius is
You
just
should know
poor
it.
man's Premiere. That's all that is.
Yes,
It's
yes, it
just,
is.
yeah, it's cheap Premiere. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
like that.
Bree,
yeah, no,
Bree, you
we
have two
have
picks.
I was just gonna add into what Mitchell was saying because it's not even just like learn how to multitask when you're editing. Like if you find two really good shots, but you only want to use one of them in your package, chances are you've got a VOSOT to do. Use the other one for the VOSOT.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just having a good ear and a good eye for those kinds of things.
I got a question for you guys. Do you guys use ENPS as your write downs
Yes. Yeah.
and Edius
Yep.
for your
No,
editing?
for
Okay,
me.
so
Yeah.
Mitchell, this might just be for you. Can yours both work at the same time? Because when I'm exporting on Edius, ENPS ceases to exist. It just stops
Really?
working. But
Really?
it's the worst. So you'll be like right up against deadline, right? And you're like, it's exporting. I got to finish up this script, but you can't. The son of a gun is
Oh,
frozen.
so
It's so bad.
mine doesn't freeze. So the only way, like, basically, Brie, Edius and EMPS go together. Edius, you export straight from the software and it goes straight to the server, straight to the show. Like you don't have to
Oh,
drop it
wait,
into an extra folder
what
or anything.
server do you guys use as far as like to for like your B-roll and stuff if it's like stock B-roll?
Oh, Stock Hero, we have access to a few. We have
Yeah,
CBS
yeah,
News Path, Fox
ABC,
Extreme
CNN, and
Reach,
stuff.
because
Yeah,
we
Yeah,
have a
we have
Fox and a
because we have
CBS.
NBC News Channel, but then like
Yeah.
our in-house B-roll we use Bit
Our
Central.
archive system is
we
garbage. Oh
no
no,
Bit Central. Yeah, yeah, we have
we
Bit
have a
Central.
physical archive system.
Oh,
What's the word I'm looking for? It's garbage. It's
yeah,
so
Sorry.
bad. Stuff
Okay.
doesn't archive. Stuff doesn't. You can't find anything. It's the worst. My
yeah.
sports director will. You'll just be in the room where the archive is, and you just hear him like hit something. It's so
That
bad.
the sports archive, we have physical hard drives like on discs, and we just moved to Bit Central like 2 weeks ago. But Edius basically moves over. EMPS works, but you can't be in the script for the video
It's
that you're
brutal.
exporting, or it won't like save. So you
I
have to
just
get
write my
out of the
stuff in a
script.
Word document and then bring it over later. Is what I've
That's
learned to
fair.
do.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
and
Okay.
then it just like checks too.
All
Anyway,
All
right,
right.
Bree,
Bree.
I
two
get two.
picks, third
Yep.
and
So
fourth.
my number one or my pick would be it's you know, your news director tells you all the time, and this is just my trauma kicking in. Always carry a bag of extra emergency supplies, whether that be pants, a shirt, an extra jacket, everything. We call it a go bag because you never know how
I
long
don't
you're
have a
going to
go
be
bag.
somewhere. If you get sent
Yeah.
out early in the morning and you're there all night and it gets cold that night, you're going to need a jacket. So,
Gloves.
Yes,
Got
gloves.
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 Oh, yeah, I
Okay,
have extra
that's a good pick.
socks. I have extra socks, jeans, my work polos, I have like a little fleece jacket, and then I have gloves and a beanie. You never know what you're going to need.
I like it. All right.
Have your go
And what's
bags
your
ready.
second?
Um, don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that I feel like really kind of kicked me in the butt when I started, is that I was very quiet and afraid to ask for help. So,
Yeah. Um, that's a good one because a lot of new reporters,
don't
especially
ask.
young reporters, they don't ask. Like they might be intimidated by the
Hmm.
boss or other reporters. You're not gonna learn if you don't
We're all
ask.
in this together
Yeah.
anyway. We've all been in your shoes. If
Yeah.
you're a new reporter, they
They may
people ahead
be
of you have been in
rude.
yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they may be
Yeah.
rude, whatever, but you know, they're
That's their problem.
probably yeah, they probably have something in there that you can use.
Yeah.
Um, going out in the community, doing community events like parades, anything like
Yeah,
that.
be out there. So yeah, actually, I kind of previewed it earlier. Write your scripts in a Word document. Write your scripts in a Google Chrome Word document or Docs or whatever, and have Grammarly extension added to your computer. Because some of y'all be sounding dumb out here with bad grammar and poor spelling. Man, come on.
Yeah.
I got some
Or
coworkers.
another
I
tip,
give, yeah,
another little trick for that, put it in your email. I mean, if you guys
yeah,
use Microsoft Outlook, your
yeah.
email will automatically have those
Yep.
corrections also.
Yeah, so I use a Word doc with Grammarly, so it's double checked, and every it
Yeah.
checks your grammar. It will get rid of your bad punctuation because don't it's so easy. It's you don't even have to do it. It
Yeah.
does it for you. Okay, and then
All right, your third, Zach.
my last tip: go to the bathroom before you go to stories. Take a pee. Because if you don't, let me tell you, you could get there, you're gonna realize there's no bathroom, and you're gonna have to be there for 3 hours. You're gonna be doing your little dance, you know.
Or
So
just,
hit the bathroom.
all day on a 12-hour shift.
Yep, yep. So before you leave, hit the bathroom. It's vital. It's simple, but it's vital.
I think it's so. It'd be my pick, and then Bree, mine. Just come in with a good attitude. You know, your day is gonna. Even if you're having a bad morning, once you get to the station, switch it on. It
Good attitude is better than a good story half the time. Because
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, because
and
even if
with
you
a
have
good
nothing,
yeah, and with a good attitude, you're gonna get more good stories because people are gonna want to talk to you. So
yeah.
Yeah.
that's mine. And
You're more
Bree,
approachable that way. My
All
last
right.
one is going to be, do your research. If
Yeah.
you're gonna be doing a hefty story or a fun story, do your research on it. If it's something fun and it's gonna affect the community, how is it gonna affect the community? Why do people care about it? Not just the story. Do the
Yeah, that
research.
question. Why do people care?
yeah,
Stick to that. Stick
yeah.
with that. Yeah, that's
Um,
big time. Snub of the draft. No
no, no.
snacks.
I
Snacks
thought
did not make an appearance.
Nope.
I was thinking Bree was gonna take it, so I didn't want to take her pick. But
Damn.
No.
Yeah.
snacks will
No.
be honorable mention.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Snacks are,
Snacks in a
I think
water bottle.
snacks and water are like overall default.